Hey YouTube, in front of us is the Toro Super Recycler with all the bits and pieces missing from the rear self-propelled. Since we're looking at it, that must mean I have some parts for it. Here are the parts. These are the old ones I'm going to try to reuse. And over here, this is the old sprocket. It's no good. But I got a new bracket, new sprocket, ring, the plastic piece, trying to reuse some of the old washers, spring, etc. I'll show you what I did with the wheels. Here are the wheels. This is the end result with the JB weld underneath. On this one, this is the sprocket that cracked, so I put a little extra on there. But they're on there good and tight. So hopefully we'll give them a test here later today. And the final piece, we got a brand new blade. So I think I'll try to get the transmission working first. I don't have quite all of the pieces, which I'll get into later, but at least we can hear this run today. One of the first things I think I'm going to do, I'm going to transplant the handle and this ring, whatever it's called, and the nut, the bolt. Transplant all this to our new wheel bracket. This bolt is a 3/8. And there it is. Here's the old bracket, all worn out. Transplanted the wheel lever and this ring to our brand new bracket. The rear axle is back on. There is our new wheel bracket. We got the necessary washers, clips, etc. back on both ends, so it's reattached to the mower. So let's put the rest back on. When I got all my parts yesterday, unfortunately they had everything but the keyway for the other side. This is the keyway for the right side. So I'm hoping today we can at least test it, see if the transmission works. If it does, it'll probably only turn the right wheel. But we'll do what we can today. So now let's put back on the rubber ring. And we will put back on the plastic piece and the keyway that I have. And then I believe it is the sprocket. That piece. Spring. And the clip. There. I think we got the one side back together. And we have the sprockets and clips and washers back on the other side. This is the side that I don't have the keyway for it yet, so this wheel most likely will not work today. But let's put the wheels on, and let's put the blade on. Well, this Toro is just full of surprises. We went to go put the blade back on, brand new blade, and look at the blade adapter. It's bent. Another delay. So, after I discovered the bent blade adapter, obviously, as usual, it's pretty much stuck on the crankshaft. So I thought, well, I'll just loosen the bolts and, you know, try to get a pry bar or hammer in there to get it loose. And I noticed this end of the shield that protects the belt was loose. I looked a little closer and the other two engine bolts were loose. This one down here, someone had tried to put in probably a little bit crooked and cross-threaded it, and they decided just to leave it partially out. And sure enough, when I got my pry bar to remove it, I snapped off the bolt. So I'm pretty fed up with this engine on here. We're going to go to Plan B. Enter Plan B. It's a Toro personal pace. It has a broken front wheel and the transmission was no good, and I've taken parts off the deck. But I've kept this engine for exactly a moment like this. So we're going to transplant this engine to the super recycler. The spare engine is off. Some of you might be asking, why didn't I try to reuse this deck? Well, like I mentioned, I thought I had a broken wheel. I think it does. I know it does. This wheel is broken. Something down here on the deck is broken. The deck right there is broken. And there should be a piece of metal, circular, that runs from here up to here to allow it to mulch and recycle. That's gone. So this deck is pretty much crap, but the engine still ran. Here's the engine. We're going to mount it to our super recycler. It does have a little gas in the tank, so I put a plastic bag under the gas cap, put my locking pliers on the fuel line. So now let's get it back on this good deck. Our spare engine's back on. Let's get the blade back on. Our brand new 21-inch super recycler blade is on. Let's get the wheels on. We got the back wheels on. It's looking a little bit more like a lawnmower. We'll keep going here. I'll reconnect our cable. There we go. And you guys may remember the self-propelled has the broken spring underneath it. Now I'm going to try something here. I have another Toro personal pace. As a Tecumseh engine, it knocks, so I've been keeping it just for parts really. I'm not sure if this transmission works, but I'm going to see if I can steal this self-propelled cable. Because I looked underneath on this one and it has that hook. So we'll give it a go. Our swapped cable is back on the super recycler. Got it hooked down on the self-propelled, running up along here, underneath, and we're connected back to the handlebar. And we also put in the broken self-propelled spring. So now it's time for a break. This is how we take breaks. Say hi, Dad.
Hi.
Okay, back to work. So on my spare engine, you'll see the rope is shortened a bit. I could replace the rope, but I have a bunch of spare recoils. So that one has a good rope in it. We're just gonna try to swap that out. Okay people, we put a recoil back on. We put the pretty black Toro cover back on. I checked the spark plug, it looked fine. This engine is a ready start, there's no primer button. So I'll check the oil real quick. It's up to level. I did have this engine running 2-3 months ago before I kind of just parked it in the garage. So in theory, it should start. Connect the spark plug, and we'll see what happens. So my donor engine sounds pretty good. I pushed down on the self-propelled, hoping maybe one wheel would turn. And I think there's a little bit too much play in there because I don't have the other keyway. I felt it kind of grab a little bit, but not 100%. So I'm going to leave the self-propelled for another day. My part's supposed to come in next week. And hopefully when I get that keyway, this one will be all fixed. But before we park it in the garage today, we'll do another cosmetic thing to it or two. Follow me. Well, I think we're done for the day. We put a little cosmetic touch on this pretty lawnmower. We added the deflector to the muffler. We took that off of the old engine, and we also added the grate to the muffler. Again, we took that from the old engine. And then one of the front wheels was pretty bald, so I had a pair that matched that came from the mower that I actually took the back wheels from. So we're almost there. It needs to be washed. We'll do that another day. And for now I just have to wait a couple days for the part that I don't have for the self-propelled, the keyway. It's missing on this left wheel. I have the old one in the right wheel, but I don't think it's going to work perfectly until I get that piece. So we did a lot today, but hopefully it'll pay off in a couple days. Thanks for watching. And for those of you keeping track at home, how many Toros does it take to repair a Toro? 1, 2, 3. For me, 3.